The real difference between a happy person and a sad person is the way they handle their emotions. I read 3 books on emotional intelligence, and this is what I learned. Your emotions are what affects you at work, at school, in your relationships, and in everything that you do. As we all know, it's not always the smartest people that are the most successful people in life. You probably know people who are academically brilliant and yet are socially struggling. They're unsuccessful at work and are struggling in their personal life. Intellectual ability isn't enough to succeed in life. Yes, your intellectual ability can allow you to get into college, can allow you to get into a job, can, give you levels higher and higher in school. But it's your emotional intelligence that will help you to manage stress and emotions when facing your final exams or obstacles in life. The one thing I want you to remember as we go through this video is when your emotions are high, your logic is low. So let's talk about how to master your emotions and to become emotionally intelligent. Number 1, don't take anything personal. In the book, The 4 Agreements, it talks about how taking things personally or personal or making things personal means that you have come to agreement with what has been said. For example, if someone says that you're selfish, you're narcissistic, you're horrible, you immediately get offended, you immediately get sad, you immediately react. The reaction means that you have agreed with what they have said to you. Sometimes people say things from a bitter point. Hurt people. When you take something from a hurt person, it ends up hurting you. It means that you have agreed with the fact that they have said that you're selfish. You have agreed with the fact that they have said that you're a sad person, you're an unhappy person. So you've come to terms with that and you've made that your reality. But with that being said, you have to ask your question, what is emotional intelligence? Why is it if someone says to me something that is horrible to me, if someone reacts to me, if someone calls me all these names, why can I not react in such a way that makes them feel that I've had them and I'm going to react and tell them how I feel? So emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in a positive way to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others. Emotional intelligence is not only about your emotions, but the emotions of others too. Without emotional intelligence, you are like an open wound. Contact to the wound causes pain. Anything that is said to you causes a reaction. When it comes to emotional intelligence, it is all about a set of 4 skills. The first skill is self-awareness. This is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence. With everything, if you want to become emotionally intelligent, you have to first of all be self-aware of your own emotions. This is the ability to identify and to understand your own emotions and the impact your emotions have on others. When you're managing stress, that is the first step in building emotional intelligence. Because when we are stressed, when we are under pressure, we have different forms of reactions that we want to bring out. The science of attachment says that your current emotional experience is likely a reflection of your early life experiences. Your ability to manage your core feelings, such as joy, anger, sadness, fear, depends on the quality and the consistency of your early life emotional experiences. For example, if your primary caretaker, your mom, your dad, your auntie, your neighbor, any person that was a primary caregiver to you, it doesn't have to be your birth parent. If they understood and they valued your emotions, it is likely your emotions have become a valuable asset in your life. But if your emotional experiences when you were young were confusing, threatening, or painful, it's likely you have tried to distance yourself from your emotions. When you're growing up, that is a very big aspect in understanding your emotional intelligence. When I was growing up, when I was young, I was mainly very isolated. I didn't engage with people. I didn't involve myself with people. This for me was the fact that I was in boarding school and my parents were never there because they were working, they were going through things. My mom traveled, she came to the UK, I stayed back home. So emotionally, I didn't have people that I could talk to. I never trusted my uncles, I never trusted my aunties. I kept so much to myself and my emotions ran through my head. So I would internalize what I knew I would react if someone did something to me. For example, if someone took my cup without my permission, I knew exactly what I would say to them. I already had a reaction to how I'm going to react to them. depending on who the person is. If it's the popular girls, I will try in my mind to try to depopularize them or to make them feel bad by my reaction. If it was a different person, based on their attitude, I knew how I was going to react to them. That is how I internalized my emotions and how I would react to my emotions, because as a child, they were never listened to, they were never heard, and I never got to discuss them or being told what my reactions were. So if you had confusing and threatening sort of emotions when you were young, the likelihood is that you distance yourself, and the way in which you distance yourself is through obsessive thoughts, mindless entertainment like video games, watching porn, watching television for hours, gambling, drinking, anything to distract you away from the immediate emotions that you're feeling or from the emotions that you're feeling at this very moment. And because you're not allowing yourself to fully immerse yourself in that emotion, to fully understand that emotion, you distance yourself away from it and you're not evolving self-awareness into your life. Remember, you don't know what you do not know. By being aware of how you feel and how others feel helps you better understand your emotions, helps you better understand how to deal with emotions when they come through. Learning to be mindful in every situation, depending on what the circumstance is. Try to center your emotions. Be aware of how you feel. For example, if you're angry, identify that as an emotion of anger and say to yourself, I'm registering an emotion of anger. Registering it in that way allows you to kind of calm down and not react. Being fully aware of what that emotion is, if it's that emotional response that you're having of anger, how to better handle it, how to find your safe spot can allow you to become emotionally intelligent. Just because you're angry does not mean that you have to react with anger. Just because you're sad doesn't mean that you have to react with sadness. If you're angry, finding your safe spot of breathing in and breathing out and taking time for yourself is making you aware of that emotion and dealing with that particular emotion. That is emotional intelligence. There is a study I read that says managing your emotions is not controlling your emotions. Understanding that you're angry and you are sad and managing that does not mean that you're controlling the emotion of anger. You're just fully aware of the emotion, and dealing with that emotion in itself is a way to better understand yourself. Skill number 2 is self-management. Once you're self-aware, it brings about self-management. Self-awareness opens the door to self-regulation, which is your ability to manage your emotions and your behaviors once you are aware of that emotion. It allows you to kind of like manage any disruptive thoughts and impulses and keeping them under control. In the book Empathy by Harvard Business Review, it states, you cannot understand someone else's emotions until you understand yours. People with strong self-regulation can take a deep breath in tense and stressful environments, which helps them remain calm and think about how they speak or how they act. That is self-regulation. That is self-management. Allowing that emotion not to control you, because the danger of that is that when you allow your emotions to control you, then it means that you're not fully in control of your emotions and your emotions are running you. You're not fully aware of the emotion that you're having, and your management towards that emotion is not there. You must be able to use your emotions to make constructive decisions about your behavior. When you become overly stressed, you can lose control of your emotions and the ability to act thoughtfully and appropriately. On the flip side of that, if you do not have self-management, it's hard for you to control the negative emotions and impulses, which set a chain of active reactions of all these negative emotions that carry on. I hope you're still with me. There is old saying that says, people join an organization and people leave managers. And this is so true. When you go to a job, you join this job because you like the company, you like for what it is. But once you get in the job, more likely for you to leave the job is because of the management, is because of the managers. This is why you sometimes tend to leave the job. This shows you how important emotional intelligence is. If you are in an organization where the leader, the manager, the people that are managing do not have emotional intelligence, the likelihood of retaining staff is very low. Most people will leave the job because that manager does not have emotional intelligence at all. Therefore, it becomes overwhelming to the people around. They decide to leave the job. Intelligence is a very key factor in any leadership skills or any kind of leadership or leader or any team that you're trying to be or you are. So if you're planning on being a leader or you're planning on being a manager, emotional intelligence is a key factor. But self-management of that emotion is a very, very expensive thing that you can ever have. Let's look at this example. You are at a workplace. Something happens at work. You tell the manager. The way in which that manager reacts to that will allow you to either work with empathy or sympathy or feel hard or not hard. In most cases, you don't feel hard because the emotional intelligence of that manager is not meeting what you require as a person. That is why most people get frustrated with the manager because they didn't hear what I was saying, they didn't listen, they didn't do what I wanted them to do, based on the fact that they did not apply emotional intelligence or they lack emotional intelligence. The third point is social awareness. Once you're self-aware of yourself and now you can self-manage yourself, now you have to be socially aware of your emotions. Because social awareness is the ability to understand the emotions of others. And the key component that you need in this emotional intelligence part is empathy. You cannot buy emotions. Jamil Zaki, the author of The War on Kindness, describes empathy as having 4 components: identifying what others feel, sharing this emotion, and wishing to improve their experience. When I was reading the book Empathy on emotional intelligence, there is a chapter that talks about empathize and how to empathize with people. It says that we sometimes talk about our experiences hoping to gain empathy, hoping that people would empathize with us. And when people empathize with us, it makes us feel heard, seen, and listened to. However, it said that, gives this very good example, it says that most people think that they're very good drivers, but 90% of people are not very good drivers. It's the same thing when it comes to emotional intelligence and empathy. Most of us think that we're very good at empathizing with other people, but in actual sense, we are not good at empathizing with other people. Some people believe that in most cases that if I explain to this person this particular thing that I'm going through, I know they'll empathize with me because they have been through a similar situation. But studies have shown that people who empathize with you are not the people that have been in the same shoes like you. Most people who have been in the similar shoes or been in the similar situation that you are in are not likely to empathize with you based on the fact that if I did it, they can do it too. If you're at a workplace and someone is pregnant and struggling and going through 9 months and maybe she's doing this as a single mother, another person at the workplace who has been a single mother, who has been pregnant as well, will say, I've been through that, therefore they will go through it. Therefore, they will go through it, creating an empathy gap or an empathizing gap. Most of us have an empathizing gap because we tend to think that because we have been through something, they shall too go through it and they'll come on the other end as winners. In most cases, we forget that empathy is not about how you'd feel if you are in their situation, but rather how they actually feel now. People with strong social awareness show kindness, but it doesn't mean that you cannot give other people, difficult feedback. In fact, someone who has social awareness is better at delivering tough love because they understand the other person and they're able to help them because you will be able to understand the other person and kind of help them. Do not confuse kindness for weakness. Paying attention to other people's paying attention to others does not diminish your own self-awareness. By investing time and effort to really pay attention to others, you can actually gain insight into your own emotional state, as well as your values and your belief. For example, if you feel discomfort hearing others express their views, you would have learned something about yourself. When people are actually telling you how they feel and you give that sort of reaction with anger or frustration, it means that they are tapping into an emotion of yours that maybe you haven't yet discovered. Listening to people, understanding people, and taking in accountability of other people's emotions helps you to become a better person and to grow as a person. The fourth one is relationship management. You can call it social skills. Social skills are what separate a great leader from a good leader. These particular skills that you need to have are how to influence people, conflict management, teamwork, the ability to inspire others, make it possible to maintain healthy relationships. People with good social skills can make an enormous change on any team or in any relationship or in any environment. Social skills are what allow us to actually be sociable with other people, are what allow us to actually communicate with other people and feel free around different environments when we go out. Your social skills are so important when it comes to your emotional intelligence. Where there is an aspect of anger, allow that to be an emotion that you recognize. Oh, that person is angry. How would you react to yourself when you are angry? If the person is experiencing an emotion of happiness, be happy with that kind of person. Allow that person to feel that joy. Enjoy the joyness that comes from that person. Do not compare that person. The important aspect of all this is about how they feel in that very moment. Being an angry person, reacting so much and being so reactive does not make you emotionally intelligent. It just gives you a weakness that other people can prey on. So if you're going to improve your emotional intelligence, you must start with self-awareness. Then you have to self-manage that emotion. So you're fully aware that you're angry. How do you manage that anger? That is your self-management. And then your social awareness. How are you around other people? How do you manage other people's reactions and emotions, and how they react towards you and how you react towards them? Then how do you manage relationships around you? Learn to see conflict as an opportunity for you to grow. Conflict is not something that you should always look at as a bad thing, because conflict and disagreements are inevitable as human beings, as human species. If you're thinking by being emotionally intelligent is avoiding conflict or avoiding disagreements, that is not being emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence is being fully aware of how you feel, how the other individual feels, and how you put it into perspective. When I read the book Difficult Conversations, one of the things that actually starts wars, ends wars, and settles wars are the conversations that we have. But during the conversations that you're having with someone, emotional intelligence has to play a big part. It's not only about listening to what someone is saying, but also listening to the silent voice, listening to what has not been said. That makes you an emotionally intelligent person. That also helps you to be a woman of substance when you fully understand that emotions are not a bad thing, emotions are a good thing, but how you handle those emotions is so very important. Being angry does not mean that, I cannot react because I'm angry, but the manner in which you react because you're angry is what sets you apart from another person who has no emotional intelligence. So if you want to be emotionally intelligent, take your time to go and read more about it. This is just a snippet of what I was able to read. I had to read an entire book. I had to read over 3 books on emotional intelligence to allow me understand what I could summarize when it comes to emotional intelligence. Emotions are just a small part of you, but they are the biggest part that run your whole life. You've got that smallest part of the back of your brain. Not quite sure. I think it's the hemoglobin or don't quote me on that. Okay, don't quote me on that. But I do remember talking about this before. I'll just put the name here if I can try to remember. It's the smallest part of your brain that controls your emotions. But you have to manage that emotions because your brain does not make the difference between happy and sad. It just reacts based on the defense that you're giving it back. Thank you so much for watching this video. My name is 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋𝐀𝐌𝐈𝐄𝐑. I hope you loved it, enjoyed it, and I hope to hear from you in the comment section down below. Let's all be emotionally intelligent. It's not all about being angry that we have to react. Until next time, bye.